Pharisees went and they plotted to entrap Jesus in what he said. So they sent their disciples to Jesus along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God in accordance with truth and show deference to no one. For you do not regard people with partiality. So tell us, what you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not?" Jesus, aware of their malice, said, "Why are you putting me to test? You hypocrites. Show me the coin used for the tax." And they did this. They brought him a denarius. And then he said to them, "Whose head is this, and whose title?" Well, they answered, "The emperor's." He then said to them, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God things that are God's." And when they heard this, they were amazed, and they left him, and they went away. Here ends our reading. May God's blessing be upon those words. Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's. Well, today's scripture is a response from Jesus when he was cornered. He was cornered by those who wanted to discredit him. They gave him a question that seemed to doom him, no matter what answer he was about to provide. So, he surprised them as he knew that life was not a series of either-or choices, but one of complexity and flexibility and affirmation. Now, we make these choices every single day, and it's no different in our shared life here at the church. Well, today we rejoice at the reception of our 8 new members, as of course you have all listed with a short bio and the pictures here in our handout. It is not the trend, you know, new membership. Not the trend at all. Most churches across all denominations are experiencing a rapid decline in membership, which is fueled by many forces. Where once the church was the center of dialogue and belonging in American churches or American culture, we find that that just is no more. Now, for the past day and a half, I have been attending the annual meeting for the Connecticut Conference, which was held at Cheshire High School. I was a facilitator for a meeting of a small group where we reflected on the words of our conference minister, Reverend Kent Salai. Now, recently, Kent suggested a sobering projection of the next 10 years. Within 10 years, 1/4 of our Connecticut UCC churches will close their doors forever. He stated that interdependence must become something we all practice in the ensuing years. Now, mind you, in that same 10 years, at least an equivalent number of churches from other denominations, all other denominations, will also be closing their doors too. Sobering, isn't it? I suppose it is a growth industry for some real estate people. There will soon be a glut on the market of old market or worship spaces. So that we see 8 new members joining our church today, and several others who could not do so because of other plans in their schedules. We have good reasons to rejoice. That doesn't mean, however, that we're out of the woods. We too are facing a real threat to the long-term existence of our church. Now, you needn't jump to conclusions on just this information alone, believing that you and you alone have the answer as to why either our churches or all the other churches are facing their demise. As if every pastor and regional minister, conference minister, and church council has not already been looking at this problem for the past 30 or 40 years, because it has been happening over that time period. The issue we are facing is social, societal, financial, technological, and spiritual. Now, I'm already halfway through the sermon, so we're not going to talk about all those issues, thank goodness, right? Yes, we have been pondering and scrambling for numerous years on how to stem the tide of the lack of membership and low attendance at church. Now, many of us ministers have lost our jobs or been threatened with removal because many congregations have failed to accept that the rules have changed, and that our own lives, each and every one of us in this very room, have changed also. Look at your own record of attendance on Sunday mornings. Where once you attended church 3 or 4 times a month, religiously, most of us now attend church casually 1 to 3 times a month. Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's. So we consider today's scripture lesson where Jesus was confronted by some crafty challengers. His challengers are trying to put him or paint him into a corner, to either be arrested for publicly denouncing to pay taxes, or to go ahead and tell them to pay their taxes so he wouldn't be arrested, and therefore just become like all the other prophets who had no teeth in their message. So Jesus gave them something more to ponder instead, which is what we are having to do in our day and age regarding being a member of the church. We are being given the opportunity to consider who we belong to. You see, we don't often join a church. It's usually, some of us, it's a one-time opportunity. Others, when we move to another community, perhaps, it becomes that opportunity. And if pressed, the people who have joined today, if I press them to denounce the world and embrace God as their only source of knowledge and sustenance, I'm willing to bet that all of them would refuse to do so. What does it mean to give, therefore, to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's? As Jesus acknowledged that life was more complicated than living by absolutes, and that life was not an either-or thing that his challengers were trying to trick him into declaring, so too are we acknowledging this in our daily lives. Now, 2 generations ago in American culture, going to church was the same as being a good American. They went hand in hand. If you were patriotic, you went to church. If you were a good citizen, you went to church. That no longer applies. Today we can see some very fundamental churches seeming to prosper on the message of either or when it comes to God and society. While we see their numbers grow, what most of us do not see is the revolving door at the back end of the churches, where large numbers of new members exit after a while because they see that life is not the absolute that was so attractive in the beginning. Now, friends, we do not have all the answers. And that's what we're arriving at in these discussions at our conference meetings, in our local churches meeting and such. We do know, though, that the church, is in the midst of a great upheaval, much like other upheavals that have happened every 500 years or so. We're fortunate to be able to have been around to say that every 500 years. The last great upheaval was the Reformation. And we are now in the midst of the next great upheaval. Somebody may mention that it may someday be called the Great Rummage Sale, because things are being cast out, aside. Strangely enough, we don't know. We don't know what it's going to be called, this great upheaval, until after all of us, even the babies in this room, are long gone. It's going to be a bit of a time before it gets all sorted out. Now, what we do know is that the tried and true attitude of UCC churches, Congregational churches, regarding our suspicion of other UCC churches, or the Connecticut Conference or the National Church, has to come to an end. Not because there needs to be some central authority telling us what to do. That's not why we have to get rid of our suspicions. But that we need to open our hearts to trust one another. To trust leadership here within our own church. To not be in competition with the other UCC churches in our area. And to develop a more close relationship with our association, which is the Middlesex area churches, and our conference state. Now, what does that mean for our old members and our new members? It means that we need to stop our hand-wringing. There's a lot going on right now. A lot of hand-wringing about the future. And the worry that we are powerless over it. Because we aren't. Nor are we penniless either. We are, however, in the midst of an opportunity to shape the future church in a way that generations before us were powerless to do. It was all running along very nicely, now wasn't it? And anybody who wanted to make any kind of change couldn't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we are in the place now where we can write the future. And we're not powerless. It's as if we are a new church start. A place where hope is eternal and possibilities are endless. As our new members join us because they recognize the face of Jesus in all you who have been members for years or decades before them, let us recognize the face of Jesus in them. Absolutely. Let us do that. And seek to find where each other may create a new reality and a new vision, a new hope, a new church for the future. It is possible, and it's happened before. Our call, friends, is to reach out beyond our walls and to see the face of Jesus in the world, all around us, to keep our hearts close to God and to live life fully and abundantly. I say it every week. You are a unique and a beloved child of God's own creating. And we are filled with power. So let us go out into the world and let's do that. Let's make a new church. My friends, May the Lord be with you.